I'm in the fields. My body's broke, my spirit is tired. I need relief, but your God ain't the one who's taking me higher. My sovereignty's my way. Lord Jesus, forgive me. Come walk with me. Outgrow your skin, nobody no favor.
About Monique DeBose, who is in the Los Angeles area, singer, activist, playwright, and most of the folks that I talk to who are musicians don't have activist right in their bio, but Monique does. So Monique, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be with you. This is going to be fun. You forgot mom. I'm also
Oh yeah, mom to two under 10 kids who, and so you're trying to do some homeschooling among many other things.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
Well, it's great to have you. When I saw your video, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and we heard that song as a little bit of it as we were coming into the show. But before I get into that, I was going to talk about, so there's a difference between us. I don't know if people have picked up on it yet, but there is a substantial difference between us, and that is you love math and I hate math. Did the audience pick up on
you didn't have a good teacher, that's all. It is so magical.
That's what I hear. But so tell me a little bit about, you've got a one-woman show called Mulatto Math, summing up the race equation in America. And before we get to your music, just tell me a little bit about that show and kind of what's it about and how did it come about?
Sure, thank you. So Mulatto Math is a one-person show that I wrote to talk about my experiences being raised as somebody who had a white Irish Catholic mother from upstate New York and an African-American father from the segregated South. He grew up in North Carolina in the 50s. And so I used my own experience of figuring out who I am, where do I belong, what is my identity, as a microcosm to the United States and how we deal with, or rather don't deal with, race and the impacts of all of that and the confusion and the possible like not really getting the fullness of everybody and what we have to bring. So I use my life. I do a bunch of different characters from my life. I have 9 original songs in that show that I wrote for it. And it's been amazing. And the reason it came about is, well, we're going deep fast, Tim. That's how we do it.
I want to just jump in quickly, get people engaged. So they're like, oh my gosh, what's next?
That's right. Gotta keep them.
That's right.
So the reason the show came about was I tinkered with the idea of it for a while, but never really did anything. And then in late 2016, I was given the diagnosis of a desmoid tumor in my abdominal wall. Told you we were going deep.
Yes, very deep, all the way to the gut.
Very deep. Into the abdominal wall.
Right.
And the doctor said, you'll be on pharmaceuticals for the rest of your life, but hopefully it won't grow. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And then the next doctor was like, are you done having children? And asking that question told me whatever she had planned for my body, I was not a part of. So I ended up deciding to actually, wait for it, it gets really crazy for people who might not be into this. I ended up having a conversation with the tumor. And I said, what are you here to teach me? What am I missing or not doing that you are present in my body? And the tumor and I had many conversations. What it shared with me was, you have so much to say. You're keeping your voice silent because you're worried about what other people will think of you, or you're worried about hurting people. And so I'm here because all that creative energy, all of what is true for you, has nowhere to go. And that is what made me write Mulatto Math. Like I would be sitting at the computer saying, oh, I can't write that. No, that's going to be too much. And I would hear a voice say, you have to write it. So I'd be sitting there with my eyes closed, crying away from the computer, typing. Like, so that is the show. And it's been across the country and it's gotten really great like responses. It really opens up a lot for people.
Obviously, the sort of subtitle is summing up the race equation in America. So tell me a little bit about the actual math part that's going on there. So how do you work in your love of math into the show?
This show is the perfect culmination of all the parts of my life. So I have a degree in mathematics from UC Berkeley out here in California. And I always think math is phenomenal because, you know, the math we learn as young people is like 2 + 2 is 4. There's always an answer. And so I create all these equations throughout the show as I get new pieces of information about what is my identity and who am I. There's all these factors that come in that by the end of it, the equation is so huge, it's like insolvable. So dun, 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 then what? Yes.
Right. So, and you've got music in your show. You said 9 songs. And tell me a little bit about the music part of your career. Again, we'll talk about the song that you've just released just here in a minute, but sort of what have you been doing leading up to that? And I know your music sort of certainly inspired by, it's hard to pick a genre, but certainly inspired by, you know, jazz and R&B and gospel flavors are in there as well. So tell me a little bit about kind of what your music part of your career has been up to this point.
I always wanted to be a singer. I love the idea of performing and all of that. I used to roller skate in my backyard when I was like 7 to my little record player, just like imagining I was on a stage. But I was also extremely shy. I was so shy that nobody knew I wanted that or any of that. So it's not until I'm 19 at Berkeley where I'm like, I first start singing, and it's through improvisation music where you just start creating music with a group of people with your voice, music that will never be heard again. So that was my doorway in. Career-wise, I left the, you know, traditional corporate path after I'd finished college, like at 22, to go try to be a singer. And so I had a friend from high school who was an amazing jazz pianist, and he was like, yep, join my band. And so I really cut my teeth in a jazz band in cafes, singing in a beautiful white gown, you know, while people got their lattes. Then ended up writing music, recording an album, and then traveling to Europe to perform it. And then also being that beautiful woman in, you know, a far off land, you know, singing for like a 4-month residency. So that really was a great opportunity to really become a better singer performer as well. So I've got a couple of albums under my belt and lots of fun stories of Beijing nightclubs. So.
Well, let's talk about the video that you just released, and obviously the song that goes with that. Rally Call is the name of it, and certainly both a powerful song and video. It was released August 28th. And just tell me a little bit about what led you, because it's not from a current album. So this was basically a sort of independent single that you decided to put out in the world. So tell me a little bit about what led you to release this song and this video right now.
So I wrote this song in 2018 with a collection of songs that will be put out eventually. But it was also during that time with the tumor. I wrote the one-woman show as well as a certain portion of songs. And Rally Call was one of them. And I decided to put it out now because once George Floyd was murdered by police officers, I felt like, what do I get to contribute to the conversation? I had my sorrow, I had my upset, I had my fear for my own sons, I had my rage and my confusion, but I didn't know how to put my voice into the world. And so honestly, a couple of friends and I, like, just with no like real budget, just went out and we're like, let's film this. I had all these like pictures in my mind of what I wanted to show to really parallel what's been happening for, I'd say, a couple 400 years. I mean, in terms of the dynamic of race relations in our country. So we got some really powerful images on purpose because we really wanted to like speak to the pain, the impact, the energy of what's happening right now. And it was so beautiful to see people from all different backgrounds really standing up and saying, hey, we need to change something. And so that was, I really wanted it to be, if you get tired, if you get, like, oh, it is a little bit more comfortable sitting on my couch and watching Netflix or scrolling through Instagram, because that can be really comfortable. I want this song to be present and it can be something that reactivates and re-energizes you.
Obviously, with your one-woman show, you talk about race and that. Obviously, this song and video discusses that. But tell me about, in terms of activism and sort of what you're doing outside of music, what sort of, either groups, organizations, how are you being an activist, and does it expand beyond race and race relations into other causes that you feel strongly about?
Right. So what I truly believe is that until we're able to own all the parts of ourselves, the things we hide in the shadows, the things we like show to the world, until we're able to actually own all those parts of ourselves, we can never truly be free. We can never truly experience like authentic, real expression. So my activism really does come through music. It does come through working with people. Like I've run groups for spaces for Black women to come together and commune. I've created spaces for people to actually activate their voice. I say I help people use their small voice with a lowercase v to express their greater voice, like what they're actually here to say, that capital V voice, out into the world. So those are the things that are really important to me. And I am an activist through my work. I really am, through the raising of my children, through the lyrics that I write, through the theatrical plays that I write. Because in my play, I also like created space every performance. There was always space and time for talk back, for people to really start talking about race and identity and things they'd never said before to another person, or to another person of a different ethnic background or race. So that is how my activism truly lives and thrives in the world.
But tell me a little bit about the challenges of living in kind of two different worlds because of being mixed race.
Yeah. So one of my missions also in the world is to move us from like living in black and white thinking to like living in full color. And that really speaks to what I just shared about like owning all the parts of ourselves. So a lot of my experience growing up, and I have 3 siblings, 2 sisters who I was sandwiched in between, and a younger brother. We all have our own unique, different experience growing up with the same parents in the same home. And so my experience was, oh, okay, I noticed that my white family talks about certain things, but if I come into a room, it might get like conversation change, let's hush, 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 hush. And I noticed when I'm with my black family, if I walk into a room, it's kind of the same experience on certain things. I mean, other things obviously not, but I just was always aware that there were things that you're supposed to keep and things that can be shared, things that you're never supposed to mention in mixed company, and things that these are all above board. And so it was very confusing for me because I was like, wait, I'm both. what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to be? Now, this, like I say, again, this is not everybody's experience. And I've had some pushback when I've had talkbacks in the show. I remember one mixed race woman said, she always tickles me when I think about it. She was like, I know that that's your story, but my white mom was woke. And I was like, cool, got it. I had to just breathe through that. Everybody's doing the best they can. But yeah, so there was like, where do I fit? What is okay? And the amazing thing about human beings is that we say one thing, this is what we're teaching, this is what we want to instill, and I'm just speaking to our children. And I see it in myself with my own kids. I'm like, no, it's okay to do hard. Meanwhile, I want to go sit and eat a bowl of ice cream because I don't feel like, finishing up whatever I have to do. But it's like we tell kids one thing, but then our energy and our action will say something that is counterintuitive to that. So I was living in a world of that around race and identity.
With the song Rally Call and the powerful message that's there, and like I said, a powerful video as well. And as you are an activist through music, obviously this is one good example, but just tell me a little bit about maybe what we can expect from Monique DeBose in the future. Obviously it's tough to look into a crystal ball right now because
no, I've got it. I know.
Okay, well, please tell me. Please tell me about the future and kind of when we can expect to see some things sort of taking off for you and maybe an album or anything else that you may have coming up.
Sure. So we're working on finishing up songs now. There's the second single is going to be released in later October, and I realized every song I write, and I've had some great collaborators as well. I want to give a shout out to Isaac and Torald Corin, who really helped me in that period of when I was writing the first set of the songs. But this next song that will come out is, it's about really owning all the parts of yourself again as a woman, really. So we're looking to put out an album project in 2021. And I'm really excited about it. It will be called The Sovereign One, and unless it changes. And it's an amazing, like, no more compartmentalizing parts of yourself. I don't write music for us just to feel good. I mean, feeling good is one of the wonderful results, but I write music to help us think. I write music to help us, which, I think all great songwriters do, write music to help people like own things that are too hard to acknowledge. So that's what all this music will be about. It's really about owning where we are and loving all the parts of ourselves, even the stuff we want to hide in the shadows.
But typically when you've put out albums in the past, have you toured nationwide? And I know you said early on you toured in Europe as well. So are there plans, at least tentatively, to do that in 2021 when the album comes out?
I will be all over the world through my computer. I'm working with musician friends right now, really like setting up a great space so that we can perform from home globally. So right now there are no plans. I mean, we're in conversation with people over in the UK right now because it seems that a lot of what I do resonates as well there. But that's as much as I can say at this point.
Right. Tell me a little bit just about where people can find you. Obviously, you've got your website, which is MoniqueDeBosemusic.com, and I will link to that below. But anyone who's interested in finding out more about you, your music, your one-woman show, what are some ways to find you on the World Wide Web at the moment?
Great. Well, you said MoniqueDeBosemusic.com. And if you're interested in like hearing about what's the latest, please sign up for the newsletter. I am definitely doing that plug because somebody said to me yesterday, you're building followers on Instagram and that's great, but you're just building Mark Zuckerberg's business. You're not building your own business. I was like,
Right.
fair point. But I'm also on Instagram at I am Monique DeBose. And then for Mulatto Math specifically, there's the website, mulattomath.com. And then on Instagram, Mulatto Math Play.
Tell me a little bit about what is your prescription for us as a society, as a culture, kind of moving forward. You know, what is your prescription to how to get to a better place?
So the words that just jumped in my head, it was so funny. It was a sassy voice that was just like, just get over ourselves, please. So that's what happened first. But it's really, I feel like when we can own the truth of who we are, even with the shame, even with the anger, even with the upset, even with the like hurt, when we're willing to actually be like, all right, look, I feel horrible about how our nation came to be. I feel really proud about how our nation came to be. Like when we can create space so that we can all just have our voice in the room to be heard, because that's really the thing. I feel like if people don't feel heard, if there's not a space for people to feel heard, even people who are just like diametrically opposed to like my fundamental beliefs, like if people don't feel they're safe to be heard, people are just gonna like continue to like stand their ground and continue to like dig their heels in. And it's like holding a beach ball. I love this analogy because it's so true. And I've seen myself in this space before. Like holding a beach ball, trying to hold it underwater in a pool. Like you are just constantly working and all that energy is going to something that's never going to like have a positive result. You're never going to get where you think you're going with that. So like, let's just all take a breath and get over like our stances. Like people did some crappy stuff. People have benefited from some crappy stuff. People are in pain still. People are still doing crappy stuff. Like come to the table and let's talk. That really is my message.
Thank you for that prescription. Hopefully we'll all heed that and get over ourselves a little bit. And I definitely have enjoyed having you on the show. And as soon as I saw your video, I have to say, it's like, this is somebody I feel we're going to be hearing a lot more from. It's kind of like you sort of scratch your head too and go, why haven't I heard of Monique DeBose before? Because you certainly have a very powerful voice, both in the little v and capital V ways. So again, thank you, Monique, so much for joining me on the show. And I'm happy to kind of get your music out there and let people know a little bit about who you are and what you're doing and what you stand for. And also very best of luck with the show, the One Woman Show, and hopefully we'll see that on a bigger stage as well in the not too distant future.
Yes, we're all in the works. Yes.
Yes. All right.
Thank
well, that
you,
sounds
Tim.
good. I
Appreciate
definitely.
what you're doing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
There's a road where we're walking on thunder, where we all go deliver ourselves. We lay down by the trees we hung under, so we own every part of ourselves.